I've always found things I once thought fun and exciting as a child is now boring and apathetic now. Climbing trees and playing tag just seems a bit annoying to me, not to say that there's anything wrong with that, so if you do it, then more power to you. I decided to go to New York City's Armory for an art exhibition that Anne Hamilton choreographed. I didn't know anything about Anne Hamilton or her recent works at the time, mainly because I wanted an unrendered thought of her so I can fully embrace the exhibition that I was going to. Accompanied with my friend Greg, we walk into this large, eloquent room as people scurry to their desired location. Surely the categorization of this being an armory does not do the building justice. Greg and I walk into a blank state of what we are about to see.
Holy shit.
I was presented with a creature humanity has never seen before. As if she goes, "Look at my magnificence and glory," she allowed both Greg and I into her room. My mind could not stay to one thing at a time. The lights, the mass numbers of people, stairways, radios, doves, and Vikings. I have entered into the stem cell of fairy tales. Once I finally sat down to close my eyes, I heard a bell ring in the far distance. Looking up, I noticed that the bells are attached to strings. The strings go all the way across the room, propelling this mythical creature up in the air. Looking closer, there are children playing with adults, adults playing with elders, elders playing with children, and the list goes on. It takes you back like the ghost of Christmas past, but presents it in a way as if all the moments of a person's childhood adds up to a room filled with spectators witnessing you as a child. Very rarely does something like this happen in the world. A massive weight is lifted off the people's shoulders. Much like Andy has come home to play with Woody and Buzz, everything in the world stops and reverses. Watching all these people regain their childhood makes you think of how unimportant the rest of the world is at that moment. Everything we do in our lives becomes a mandatory task in order to get work done, and it is quite ironic that something like an armory could be associated with people having fun.
This is awesome as hell, man. Here we go, we're going high, we're going high, we're going high. Woo-hoo.
Many people began looking up at awe of how wonderfully simple yet beautiful this display is. People continued to disbelieve what they saw as waves of lightning shocks your body, much like the feeling where everyone has their turns against you, but you turn out to have that right idea. You think a place like this is imaginary because we are brought up in pure beings only to be formed in whatever we absorb, but once you see the imagination spark and erupt in an opening building, you begin to reflect on how beautiful our world is. But through years of progress in getting to the point where we want to be in our lives, times like this remind us how great it was when we were children. Watching people play around on these swing sets makes an effort of accomplishment seems very worth it. This is the moment that we worked so hard for, a reminder to tell us that we are almost there, keep pushing. But first, have some time and enjoy the world that you already live in. My happiness went soaring, but it was time to leave. Once I left, I suddenly noticed the unnoticeable reality that we are all in. The one thing that changed, though, is how I saw my reality. Walking through Central Park, I began to reminisce life with Greg, and that's always a pleasant. I settled by having a long walk down the park. Vaguely, I visualized a man standing in a circle. Looking closer, I began to realize that the man was a guru, and the circle he was standing in was the epicenter of happiness.
Let's go!
Another one, so you don't give up. Dog with this guy.